Okay, you see the title of this video, and you're probably thinking, what? Why are you saying that? This doesn't look like it. It is. Guys, we know what's happened. I've actually made a video on the merger. I did. I already made one. Before I actually watched NXT, I did make one. And unless some new information comes out or something new happens within the next couple of days, it should be up Thursday. It should be up Thursday or Friday. One of those 2 days. But I'm telling you right now, the title is clear here. Even though not all the titles are being held by the main roster, and I'll explain what I mean, it's changed. Now, let's go to what they talked about early in the show. VidPack talking about Von Wagner. They showed scenes of what we were cut out of, which was fine. They had to show something. They showed the blood on the steps. They showed Von being taken away, and they showed the ambulance, and then they said Von has a minor fracture of his skull. They do not know when he's coming back. Good story. Then we get a very choppy Baron Corbin coming out, trying to sell the fact that Braun Wagner got hurt. He couldn't believe that happened, and he called out Braun Breaker, and then he praises Braun Breaker, and Braun Breaker didn't want nothing to do with it. So now Braun Breaker makes it very clear, I don't give a damn about you. I don't need your praise. I don't need nothing from you. I just need a fight from you. And now they break into a fight. And it's not about Von Wagner, which I was worried about. This is about Braun Breaker, and this is about Baron Corbin. Von Wagner right now is a non-starter at this moment. Now, mind you, he's not done. He will be brought back, and he will go after a Braun Breaker later. Just not now. So, to make the story work, he can't show up for at least a couple of weeks to at least a couple of months. If he shows up, it's not going to look good. But as it stands right now, it's hard to say they wouldn't do that. Now, let's move on to the most dumbest thing I've ever seen. Eddie Thorpe and Dijak. Here's the thing. I was really feeling something from Eddie Thorpe, because it's not the point as someone who's showing Native American culture or French culture or Indian or India culture or Hindu culture or Jewish culture. It's not that you do the dances and the rituals and everything. It's that you sell who you are. And Eddie Thorpe, when he did show some level of reflection and did show that he did meditation in the binds of what a person who is of the tribes might do. He didn't need to show it all. He just needed to show something that he holds dear to himself, which I appreciated. But then we get this segment of him being still pissed off about what happened in the match, which is understandable. He did cheat. But then you see Dijak going out into the forest, and you see Dijak saying pretty much, oh, this is the place where you go when you basically get your ass whooped. This ain't much. And he's basically calling him out. But then he takes off his damn belt, and he starts hitting a tree with it. Who came up with that? You know what should have been done? Which is not something I would promote, but it would make sense. A tree getting cut with an axe. They don't even have to show a tree that's alive. They could have just gotten a tree stump already pre-cut, set it up somewhere, and it's angled just right so no one can actually see that it's not a full-grown tree, just something there. You give Dijak an axe, and then he starts chopping a fucking tree. That would have made more sense. But it wasn't. It was him hitting a tree with a fucking belt. That was stupid. I don't care what anybody says, saying that's a great segment. It was stupid by a story point. If Dijak really wants to humiliate and disrespect Eddie Thorpe in his belief as a Native American, which part of my heritage I believe it is, hitting a tree with a belt is stupid. It is. It is dumb. It would have been better if he had gone to a reservation or a fake reservation and then beat the shit out of somebody. That would have been more profound and substantial. Or, like I said, go somewhere like a mill that has logs and see if they would be willing to let you film there, and then have him just chopping a fucking tree that has already been downed. At least then you wouldn't worry about damaging the environment. That would have made more sense. No, moving on. Next, we get the first match. And this was number one contendership. The best match. Wesley versus Dragunov for number one contendership for No Mercy. Going against Mello. Very good match. Whether you like high-flying aerial or do you like incredibly rough ground and pound like a Dragunov, someone's going to enjoy one of the two. That's the deal. If you like high aerial like in as I know him, Desmond Xavier, and a Dragunov, you'll have basically what you want, but the other side won't like it that much. In the end, Dragunov won clean. But then because he lost, he was done. He basically cleaned out his locker, threw it in the garbage, whatever was there, walked to the, well, I believe that was his wife, that basically was waiting for him at the door. And he said, I gave my best. I gave him everything I had, but I'm done. He kissed his wife, they head out, and then they're going to the car. And at that point, instead of making it where they could just cut to black or go to the ring, they don't even give it a moment to sink in when they decide to have Davenport and Gigi Dolan fighting one another. Davenport I didn't agree with this. I wanted Wesley's moment like that to mean something. If he's going away, maybe they're going to repackage him. That would make sense. But no, they don't even give it a moment and fade to black, go to commercial, just go to the ring. And at least have Vic and Booker T have their moment with that. They even let it soak in. No, they go immediately to Davenport getting attacked by Gigi Dolan, and they have to hold them back. That was a waste of a very special moment for a Wesley. I don't agree with it. Let's move on. We get a 6-man tag. Bridge, Jensen, and the Morgan, I believe his name is Morgan Bourne. Or I think that's his name, Morgan Bourne. I haven't really paid much attention to him because I haven't really focused that much on him. But he's going up against pretty much Damon Kemp, Charlie Dempsey, and the Drew Gulak, the one who is over all of them. This was not about him becoming a member of Briggs and Jensen. This is about showing that he wanted to be loyal to the others. So he screwed over, I believe it was Jensen, and Briggs to get pinned. I can't remember. Was it Briggs who got pinned or was it Jensen? I think it was Briggs who got pinned. And Jensen got screwed over by getting nailed by him. So I can't say this is good or not because now they have to build him. I don't know if it's going to work or not. I don't know. But they did do something with him. Now, we get the match that I'm like, what are we really getting here with Dana Brooke? What are we getting here? And I've always said this, I'm not against Dana. I am not. She can be a good wrestler, middle of the road wrestler. There's nothing wrong with her in that respect. Story-driven wise, is she good on the mic? Sometimes. Is she good holding a character? Not too bad, because she did work with R-Truth for quite a while in the 24/7 title reigns. I mean reigns, multiple reigns she's had. I can't remember how many reigns. 3, 4, 5. I don't remember. But she at least did work with what she had. But this, I don't know where they're going with it. Yes, it's showing her becoming more aggressive. Yes, it's showing about getting more angrier. And Valkyrie did beat her. And basically, it was Jordan that had to grab her because she was about to attack Valkyrie. Fine. But how far are they going to go with this with Dana Brooke, where you should be focusing a little bit more and helping to develop a little bit more of Jordan? Jordan is still very new in it, and I don't expect her to get it right now. But she feels like she needs something more. And they're making this about Dana Brooke, and I don't really know if it's going to work. Not saying Dana can't be a heel. I'm just saying the way they're booking her is not that good. Now, A bracket for the GHI, the Global Heritage Invitational, just in case you don't get it. Just in case you don't know. That's the GAI. We get Tyler Bates versus Axiom. Now, I want to say this very clear. I actually like Tyler Bates. I do. I actually like Axiom. And the key of this was, to me, their focus of their match wasn't the most important focus. Even though I'm like, it's a good match. It's an important match. But then you're showing me Nolan Dar in an elephant suit where he looks like he's riding it. And I'm going, what the fuck is he wearing? And that's the thing that threw me off. But that wasn't the thing that frustrates me. I think it's due to the fact that we have to put Tyler Bates, Axiom, and everyone else in this little box of the Heritage Cup instead of the North American title or the world title, where Carmelo should have more people to work with. Because he's not working with much people. And Dirty Dom, who's supposed to be part of NXT, but he really doesn't wrestle many people on NXT at all, unless they've been part of the main roster or connected to someone in the main roster, like let me get to it like this. Ali had his moment with Dragon Lee. And the reason that this happened was because of either his dad, who's on the main roster, or the Mustafa Ali, who still goes to the main roster on and off. So it doesn't feel like he's a part of the roster. He's just holding a damn title there. And I still believe eventually he's going to drop it. And he's going to go after his father's title. The U.S. title. That's what I believe is eventually going to happen. He will go over the U.S. He will go over, try to claim the U.S. title, and he will eventually get it. That's what I think is eventually going to happen. Not for a while yet, but I think eventually it will happen. But it just didn't feel like it. Now, mind you, I know about their match at No Mercy. That's Melo and him. Who is the better champion? Who's the A-lister? Who has the A belt in a sense? That's at least okay. But the question is, will this mean something for Melo? Because I don't think it means anything to him. And yes, I know I remember seeing him talking to a Trick Williams where he's saying, well, you know Dirty Dom's going to be there. You need some extra hand. He says, no, you doing your thing. I got to do this. And Melo wants to make sure that there's no question about him doing what he's got to do. No, it's not. Is it going to be Dragunov? Wait a minute. Is it Dragunov that it's going to happen in No Mercy? No, my mistake. Him and Dragunov is at No Mercy. I believe next week it's going to be him and Dom having that match. I do believe that. I could be wrong. But I do believe that's it. But seeing that Trick is still on his own, but they're trying to set this up that Trick is not going to be happy about this because he's being left to the wayside. That's what this feels like. So eventually, Trick is going to be the one that's going to be bothering Melo eventually. I do believe that too. Now, what do I want to say about the Creeds versus Blade and Eboli? I can't pronounce the guy's name. Ibante, I believe his name. I always botch his name. I don't know what it is. Some reason, and I have his name written here, I just can't get it out. I botch it. But Blade and his partner face against the Creeds to get their asses whooped. We get Alberto Carrillo and Angel Garza coming to watch them and then coming down to the ring. And then I believe it was Tank and Hank attacking them because of what happened during last week when they had that big smudge where the Creeds are finally back and they want to see all the tag teams they're going to be facing. It was alright. But I'm not going to tell you that was perfect. Next, the first match for the GHI was part of Group A. This is part of Group B. Fraser versus Akira Tozawa. And I said this on my last video. Akira Tozawa should leave WWE. What is he gaining there? Yes, he lost to The Miz. He won to The Miz before he lost to The Miz. And now he gets this shot at the Heritage Cup. But literally, in that tournament, he loses as well. Now, mind you, he's a good wrestler. I'm not saying he can't wrestle, and I can't say he can't have fun. And he's learned over the years how to be fun, how to have a character. He has. And I'm not taking anything from him, but to be honest, he's got more talent than that. He deserves more than this. But it's going to depend if he wants to leave and counting on when his contract is up. I do believe his contract is coming up eventually, maybe another year or two. But does he want to leave? If he's fine where he is, that means he's basically fine with getting this. And not saying that is a bad thing either. But knowing full well that he's never really used much. And he's always used to put someone else over and gets his ass whooped in the process in many cases. I just don't feel comfortable knowing that a guy like that who does have talent, who has been with WWE long enough that he's learned a way how to work a match, how to see himself in front of a camera, how to work his character. He's not perfect at that, but he's good. He's good enough that he can go to an Impact Wrestling at AEW. I just feel like he should leave. That's me. Okay. Final match. What I knew was this. It was obvious. Let's make this clear. We've known for more than a few months now that the brass in the back, Vince himself, had decided that maybe I should start putting more mainline roster talent on NXT to bring up the ratings. That is what he decided. Not Triple H, not Nick Khan, not HBK. It was Vince. Period. And that's what's been going on. We got New Day at one point. We got Baron Corbin at one point. We had Apollo Crews at one point. We have right now Mustafa Ali there. Dirty Dom holds a title. Well, what we got now? Becky Lynch going against Tiffany Stratton. And I knew Tiffany was going to lose. If she didn't win, let's say she did win, it would have to be through a really bad cheat. Because they weren't going to let Becky lose clean. There was just no way. She would have to cheat. And the way Tiffany wrestles, I didn't expect her to cheat. Not enough to make it work. So I knew, which was a good match for Tiffany. It was botchy at certain points. And it was mostly Tiffany due to the fact of her not being very familiar with Becky. And also, to a certain extent, but not much, Becky not being very familiar with Tiffany. Tiffany is more athletic than Becky. There is no lie about it. Whether you like Becky or not, Becky's here, but Tiffany is not is much more athletic. She just is. She's a better gymnast than a Becky is. Is she a better wrestler? No. She has still got a long way to go. Because you can see how the psychology of the match went, that Becky led that match. It was obvious. She led it. She's a good... I'll say she's a ring general to a certain extent. Not a full ring general, but she can lead a match and she can guide it and make it the way it works. The crowd were going crazy for her. And eventually, after doing a splat onto the table with her ass onto Tiffany, eventually she also got Tiffany in the ring. She did. And she won it. But what does this really mean for NXT? Look. We currently have Dirty Dom holding the North American title. We now have Becky Lynch holding the World's Women's title. The NXT World's Women's Championship. And she will be taking it to Raw just like Dom will be taking his title to Raw. Literally, without us being told, the draft is a joke. Didn't care. Vince didn't care about the draft, and now he's acting the way he wants. Now, this hurts one person. It's HBK. HBK was given charge of NXT to build up the new generation of wrestlers who will eventually go to the main roster. But for months now, it is obvious that his booking has been off. I am not telling you that his booking is great. He does booking 101. He takes a little bit of what Vince and him did back in the 80s and early 90s, and a little bit of the attitude era is a little bit of that as well. But more about the 80s and 90s. He's more golden age wrestler. That's the way he's been booking. And then a little bit of what NXT used to be because of the influence of Triple H. Triple H has always been different. He learned from Triple H the way he did it, and he took a little bit of both and used his own feelings and made a sandwich out of it. Triple H, Vince, and in between is a little bit of HBK's own stuff all together. That's it. And that's how it's been. And I'm not going to tell you that the show is great. It never was. But the show had its own distinct attitude. Yes, it wasn't groundbreaking. It was not what Vince would do completely. And it wasn't what Triple H would do completely. It is what he did. He took a little bit of both and he came up with a somewhat of a medium. Now that's gone. I'm not telling you that some of the booking here wasn't from HBK. What happened with Von Wagner, I do believe HBK came up with that easily. But the rest of the show, seeing the interjection of the main roster, like Dana Brooke, like Mustafa Ali, like Dirty Dom. Now Becky Lynch is currently the champion. I do not expect someone else to eventually come from the main roster and eventually take the NXT tag titles again, like what happened with New Day, or the NXT main title from Carmelo Hayes. Look, Baron Corbin is on the roster of NXT. He still goes over to, I believe, level up, and I'm sure he also still appears on Raw or SmackDown when they need him. But clearly, they're not caring about the younger talent. Look what they're doing on Raw. How many people from the young... Well, calm down. How many people that were brought up? We had... Calm. I'm getting angry here. Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, Chance, Carter. That's just 4. Odyssey Jones. We have more than a few other people that have been called up. And where are they? Are they on Raw? Barely. Have you seen any of them on SmackDown? No. Practically nobody on SmackDown has been seen generally. Very few to almost no one. It is empty. Hell, look what they did with the Creeds. The Creeds lost on NXT and they left. They were seen on Raw at one time dressed in suits. Why? Why were they not used? They weren't. It wasn't because of a storyline. No. They just had nothing for them to do, so they decided to throw them back to NXT, or maybe HBK asked for them to come back. Nothing. They've done nothing with the new talent they have. And it's not because Triple H is running it and he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. It's because Triple H was ordered by Vince not to bring up any more people and not to show them on TV. I'm sorry. That's the truth. Whether you believe Triple H is running everything and I'm an idiot for believing that and Vince isn't doing a damn thing, or even better yet, now that the merger happened, you're going to think, well, Vince has no more control. He does. My Gump report will explain why he will. But I can tell you 100%, Vince has not lost any control over creative. He still can tell Triple H what to do and HBK. That is the truth. And the truth is this. Whether you like it or not, HBK's NXT is over. You're going to see more and more of the main roster and its booking in NXT. If it becomes a third brand or not is irrelevant. You're going to see that. And then you're going to see so many of the young talent that's supposed to be ready and built to work in the main roster, really not. Because when you see them, most of them will be used as cannon fodder for the mainline wrestlers that are coming down to NXT to prop up the ratings. That's just me. Peace.